Okay, yeah, over to you.
So I'll be looking at standing waves. Okay, the first people to really look at standing waves were A. Michelson and E. Molly, and they looked at standing wave compression, which basically looked at standing waves in electromagnetics and how standing waves work in nature because of ether being carried along the earth. After that, there were people like Einstein and other people who also looked at standing waves in electromagnetics, but no one specifically really looked at standing waves in music and in frequency. The definition of a standing wave is a resonance frequency that is strongest below 300 Hz, creating a booming sound. They're also known as stationary waves, meaning that they remain consistent in a consistent position. And also known as resonance modes as well. They collect near walls and corners of a room. These standing waves are known as resonant modes. They can affect the low and low-mid frequencies of a sound system in a room, and usually are the reason for inaccurate sound production. In the Handbook for Sound Engineers by Glenn Barlow, he says, mode is a phenomenon that occurs whenever sound travels between two surfaces, where the distance between the surfaces is such that the impinging waves reflects back on itself, creating a standing wave. What that means is that the distance between the two reflecting walls is equivalent to half a cycle of a standing wave. So when the frequency starts to reflect upon itself, it starts to create standing waves. That also another way of describing them is opposing waves. The wave is formed due to the superposition of two waves of the same frequency and speed traveling in different directions. So as you can tell in grey and apparently blue, there's two waves coming from different directions with the same frequency and speed, and they'll create a super wave which would become the standing wave. This is also known as propagating. Nodes and antinodes. Nodes are zero displacement and antinodes are maximum nodes. So antinode is the maximum displacement in the standing wave, and the node is the points which don't move in a standing wave. So if we go back, these points here in the standing wave are the nodes. These points that keep moving are the antinodes. These ones that keep changing. If the standing wave is not given enough power to sustain it, it will eventually result in attenuation in distortion. The good side of standing waves is that they also work on string-based instruments such as guitars, violins, and pianos. They use three variables: tension of string, length of string, and the weight of the string to determine the overall frequency and pitch of the string. The bad side of standing waves is that they are unavoidable. There are two known ways of minimizing the problem of standing waves, which looks at speaker boundaries and modal response. Okay, to work out standing wave in your control room, you have to apply this equation. Fx equals axle, Fx brackets axle equals C over 2 open bracket x over L close bracket. C represents speed of sound, which is 344 meters per second. However, you have to also include temperatures. Usually, this will look at 344 meters per second looks at 20 degrees. Okay, 20 degrees. However, for different temperatures, the speed of sound changes. However, we're going to use 344. X looks at the number of half cycles between between surfaces. So as you can tell, where the lines are, that represent half a cycle. So this equation will only work out this half cycle. So from that side to that side, the half cycle, from there to there. There are other integrated equations, such as tangential mode, which is fxy tangential, C over 2 square root, you can tell that, can't really describe it because it's gone a bit weird. But this will take into consideration the length and the width of your ring. Oblique will also take into consideration the length, the width, and the height. And this will not only calculate half cycle, it will calculate the whole full cycle of your standing wave. Now looking at speaker boundary interference response. This is one of the reasons for the creation of standing waves. At low frequencies, every speaker radiates energy in an omnidirectional pattern. And because of it, the energy is reflected from all the surfaces and eventually joined with the direct sound. This means that the sound will arrive later than the direct, sorry, it's not direct, no direction, sound. This resulting into a common filtering effect. So if we look at this diagram, this thick black line is the direct sound, and this is you listening to your speakers very closely upon it. And these are the reflections bouncing off the walls and then coming back. So if you're, if the distance between your walls and the speakers are that, the reflections bounce off and join with the direct sound, it will create a standing wave. This will also mean that there will be phasing problems, and your reflections will come later than the first direct sound, which as for a listener will sound a bit like comb filtering. If you want to correct this, you can flash mount the speaker cabinets against the wall, which will result to no travel path difference between the direct sound and the reflected sound. So by doing so, there wouldn't be a difference within the direct sound and this dotted line, which is the reflections, and all the sound will come directly to you at the same time without phasing problems. The other thing we'll look at is modal response. In a three-dimensional rectangular room, three fundamental A-tone frequencies will be represented. A-tone means standing waves. With each of the fundamental frequencies also generating even harmonics. So each frequency has its own natural harmonics, and there will also be in the room, like, I'll carry on the sense, which will be multiples of the fundamental frequency. An acoustical design goal must be the correct distribution of these fundamental and harmonic frequencies over the frequency spectrum. Certain room ratio values, proportion of length to width to height, are less preferable than others. So if your standing wave is created through parallel walls, and like if there is reasons, if your room isn't perfectly designed to deal with standing waves, there's ways of fixing that. And one of them is distributing the frequencies. And you can do this through diffusers and bass traps. If you do this, it will, well, in ideal ratio value, distribute the axial mode frequency evenly over the spectrum and therefore prevent an audio buildup of frequencies of certain frequencies. It will also result in a consistent increase of number of axial modes per frequency band with increasing frequency, in contrast to decreasing number of axial modes per frequency band with increasing frequency. And this is basically a diagram of diffusers. These are what diffusers look like, and those ones are bass traps. There are many ways of setting up your bass traps and your diffusers. Some say if you're doing it for your control room, you should do it by using a mirror. You can look at where that. If you're sitting in a chair and you turn your back on the speakers, you can turn your chair until you can see the speakers, and that's the places you should put your bass traps, your diffuser, sorry. This will help you because that's where the deflections from the speakers will hit the walls. If you do this for your rooms, sorry, that will be for the diffusers. For the bass traps, if you put them in corners of your room, it will also help with lower frequencies such as 300 Hertz. And also, you can also put them underneath your controls, your mixers, so that the frequencies going down will not bounce back up. Correct. There's many websites also you can look at which show you how to create your own diffusers, and it's very simple if you know how to DIY, basically. And there's also a lot of websites where you can buy your own diffusers, but I'd suggest to make your own, really.